All right, 99.9 Punk World Radio FM. You guys already know what time it is. And right here, we are live on YouTube, of course, and the radio station airways. But we are joined by an amazing, talented individual. We have Chad of the amazing up-and-coming group, Bridge the Gap. How are you doing this evening, Chad?
So good, dude. Thank you for having me. Stoked to be here.
Hey, I got to say, I am stoked just to be able to talk to you, man. It's definitely an honor, man. I listened to your guys' single, and I have to say it is such a rad song, man. So just being able to interview the individual behind it is honestly such an honor this evening.
Well, I really appreciate the kind words, man. We've had some good feedback on it. You know, kind of it's weird because we're old guys, but a newer band. So it's been cool to hear some of the feedback and positivity on our first single.
And also, I have to ask, man, because obviously you're such a talented individual. You're a member of Bridge the Gap, but what inspired you yourself, Chad, to actually get into the music industry initially?
Oh, man. That would have to take me back to like 1993 when I first heard Pennywise, probably. If I'm being honest, I heard a song called You Can Demand by Pennywise that's off their magnum opus, Unknown Road. At my friend's house after had been skating. We went over there, he popped it in. I was like, what is this? And then I went down the rabbit hole with Pennywise. And back then, you know, no internet, going to my record store and just trying to find any other bands that were on this label that said Epitaph Records on it. And got into it and just got inspired and started going to shows. And then I'm like, dude, I want to play guitar. So I had a friend, shout out Dave Dalton, who taught me how to play a power chord, and the rest is history.
Yeah, man. Once you get your first taste of punk rock, it's pretty addicting, man. You know what I mean? It's you can't kick it. Well, once you get a taste, you can't kick it.
I would have to agree with that 100%. In fact, my tastes in music, maybe they've evolved slightly as I've gotten older, but like my tastes are so narrow that I think I bore most people because it's basically 80s and 90s punk rock. You know, what we might call skate punk today is probably, you know, my favorite thing. Like what my band sounds like, you know, that kind of stuff. And I've tried getting into other music. I've tried, you know, and there are other artists from other genres that I can dig. Don't get me wrong, but nothing like gets me excited, gets me passionate, fires me up like punk rock. There's something special about it.
And I'm the same way as well. If people actually come in my car, they're going to hear 90s, early 2000s punk rock, man. That's just how it works. People actually always say to me, you should try something a little different. I'm like, but why? This is what I like. I don't. Well, why try something else when this shit's already killer, man? So there's no point in trying if you already like something else.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I have a few friends that have gotten me into like some of the other some other heavier genres and stuff, but like I never got too much into the Seos and that kind of fad stuff that came kind of post skate punk. I like some death metal. I like some other metal. I'm a huge In Flames fan, but other than that, dude, it's pretty narrow taste for me.
But I have to ask as well, man, because obviously Bridge the Gap is already making waves, and your guys' album isn't even fully out yet. It's coming out at the end of the month. But I have to ask, man, like, what is the story behind Bridge the Gap? Like, how did you yourself, Chad, get connected with the other members?
So the story of Bridge the Gap is every guy that's in the band, we all came from a small town in southern Utah that's about an hour north of Vegas called St. George. And in the 90s, we were in a band together called Unfold that we pushed it really hard and tried to chase the dream, so to speak, toured, put out music, did our thing. And then, I don't know, probably somewhere around 2004-ish, we all just kind of went like, all right, let's settle down. Some of us just had other pursuits, and I ended up leaving St. George and going on to get married. We all just kind of settled down, pursued careers, so to speak, and like just set the band down. And about 2 years ago, I started buying some home studio gear so that I could like figure out how to my initial ambition was just simply to demo the songs that I wrote for my own personal satisfaction, send them to friends and stuff just for fun. And then it kind of snowballed when I got Jeff Andrews, who's our guitar player, also from Unfold. I was like, hey, dude, come check these out. And then he ended up coming to where I live, and we had a fun little like weekend of creativity where we wrote some songs, we recorded and demoed them, and then from there we're like, I don't know, we just kind of felt the spark. So we're like, dude, we should do something with this. And we kind of like flirted with, fantasized with the notion of, oh, we should maybe go like record somewhere big. Like, where should we go? We ended up going to the blasting room. And then after the blasting room, even then, dude, when we were at the blasting room, we weren't sure what we were going to do with this music. Like, as far as, are we going to tour it? Are we going to release an album? What are we going to do? Why are we doing this? And by the time we came out of the blasting room, we're like, no, let's reform the band. We retitled the band, renamed the band, and that's where we're at. So Ryan Thompson, our drummer, he was the drummer in Unfold. Jeff Andrews, lead guitar, was in Unfold, and then our bass player Sean Foster was actually our manager and like road booking guy. Booked all our tours, toured with us, sound, everything back in the day. And he was a 1/5 member of Unfold as a manager, non-player, but as a manager. And then in the band, he's playing bass. So that's kind of the story of Bridge the Gap.
And for the people that might not know this about you guys with Unfold, is your guys' older music from the 90s actually, has it been since released on the internet? And of course, how do we actually go about checking that out? Because me personally, I didn't know that about you guys. So I feel like I need to go back and definitely give Unfold a good, thorough listen.
Yeah, it's like proto Bridge the Gap. But yeah, it exists. I haven't gone to the lengths that I probably should of getting it up on, like, creating a DistroKid account with it and just putting it all up on all the different streaming services. But a few years back, I did create a Bandcamp account that's under my own personal name and uploaded. There's a full-length Unfold album that we recorded at Stall Number 2 in Redondo Beach, California, the studio that's owned by, used to be owned by anyway, the dudes from Pennywise. And then we put out an EP, a 6-song EP, and then there's like some unreleased demos. So if you're on Bandcamp and you just search Unfold, Unfold Breakaway, Unfold EP, you'll find it. You'll see it.
And also as well, on January 27th of 2023, you guys actually released the amazing single titled Of My Creation. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this phenomenal single. And of course, where can we actually buy or stream ourselves a copy of it today?
So My Creation, it should be available basically anywhere you can stream through People of Punk Rock Records. Shout out. But the story of, and the album, by the way, you can pre-order our full-length album that drops March 24th through People of Punk Rock Records right here. This way, People of Punk Rock. And so anyway, just go to peopleofpunkrockrecords.com or search them up. You can find the order link, or go to our social media. We have it up there. But My Creation, the story behind it, I mean, it's just anyone who's ever dealt with addiction of any sort. I mean, it could be anything from, cigarettes to pornography, hard drugs, alcohol, whatever, any kind of like addiction, that anyone who's experienced that, at a certain point, you kind of realize that, what you became addicted to it for a reason, right? Because you liked it, it gave you a thrill, it gave you a high or whatever, but eventually you become enthralled to it, right? You become slave to that addiction. And then in that process, you lose your personal sovereignty. And then obviously it tends to have the collateral effect of destroying everything around you. And as it's crumbling down around you, as someone who's been addicted to anything knows, one of the worst things about it, the irony, is that you did it to yourself. So like that's kind of what that song's about.
And also as well, because as you mentioned a few moments ago about your guys' new album that is coming out March 24th, I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about Secret Combinations. And of course, like, what can our viewers and listeners of the radio station expect from this album when it does drop to the general public on March 24th of this year?
So it is a 13-song banger, rips right from the top. But it's not like some of our label mates on People of Punk Rock. We all kind of drink from the same bowl, so to speak, as far as genre is concerned. But I think our sound's a little bit more like 90s specific, So, it's kind of cliche to be like for fans of this band, for fans of that band, but like if you were into the 90s Epiphat sound, then you'll probably dig Bridge the Gap. But 13 songs, recorded it at the Blasting Room, produced by Bill Stevenson. Chancey, shout out Chancey Shields in the house. Produced by Bill Stevenson, which is why we went to the Blasting Room, because it was a dream to be able to work with such like a true legend and musical creative savant. And so he produced it with the help of his great staff, including Andrew Berlin, Colton Crone, and others. Shout out to all those people. Love you guys. And we had a great experience, learned a lot. Bill is a very, as a producer, he's produced obviously his own band for years, and other bands, Rise Against, Good Riddance. I mean, if you know who Bill Stevenson is, you know what's up. And he's a very kind but exacting, demanding producer. Like, he knows what the standard is, what the Bill Stevenson standard is, and he will not deviate from that, period. So even if he's got to extract blood, sweat, tears, etc., he gets that out of you as a band. And so all that, I think comes across in the album, and his fingerprints are on it, and it was just really fun learning at his feet, so to speak. And I mean that when I say it. But we're really proud of it. We're really stoked on it. We're happy that people at Punk Rock Records took a chance on a no-name band, a brand new band that no one had ever heard of, and can't wait for it to come out.
And when you said a few moments ago how you had the opportunity to work with the legendary Bill Stevenson, it must have been such a surreal experience having such an amazing legendary individual work on your guys' first project in the studio, man. It must have been surreal for all you guys.
Oh, dude, it was pinch yourself the entire time. Like, not one day. We were there for 2 weeks. We were there 14 days, almost. I think 13 or 14 days. And not one day, dude, did you wake up and feel like passe? Like, oh yeah, this is just real life. We're at the blast, like every single day. Because when we first get there, I'll give you a little anecdote. When we first got there, Bill met us literally at the door, and we walked in. 2 weeks to hang out and be there. We're staying on the premises in their what do they call it, in the lounge, with some bunk beds and stuff. So it's like full service for the bands that want to partake of that. They travel to go record. But anyway, and first thing when you walk in the Blasting Room, and again, this is a kid that comes from the 90s, all the Epitaph bands, the Fat bands, Kung Fu, Nitro, all those bands. You open the door, and as you walk into the studio, first thing that greets you is this long, narrow hall, and both sides of the walls are just covered with, memorabilia, CDs, posters of the bands that have recorded at the Blasting Room, right? So literally from the first moment you step into the Blasting Room, dudes like us that were kids from the 90s, we're just like jaw on the floor. And Bill, he's like, there's this little closet that you kind of duck into as you first walk in, and he goes, hey, check this out. We walk in, and it's where they would keep all their drum kits. And back in the corner is this this old gray drum kit that's just kind of like tucked away in the corner. He goes, you know what that is? We're like, no, what is it? He's like, dude, that's the drum kit that I recorded Milo Goes to College with. And we're like, just that history and stuff. Like, first of all, you get to hear a lot of that stuff from Bill himself that you're just, pinching yourself, nerding out. But just being there and seeing all that stuff and just knowing how many great records have been made there. I mean, almost, not every, but almost every Rise Against record, most of the Good Riddance albums, Propaganda, No Effects. I mean, the list goes on, and it's just, I don't know. It was fun to immerse in that for 2 weeks, and it was like not weird, but like a fun kind of day camp for punk rockers away from real life for 2 weeks, and then it's over. And then you wait for a while, then you get your first mixes back, and you're like, whoa, yeah, this is going to be sick.
And when you actually mentioned earlier on in the interview about how this album is actually going to be released by the amazing people of Punk Rock Records, I was wondering, how did they actually come across you guys? Did you guys actually reach out to them, or did they actually come to you and be like, hey, we want this record on our label?
No, actually, no, we definitely went to them. Um, After we got the final mixes back on the record, I sent it out to a few labels, and we, I had this like list of 15 different labels I was going to send the music out to, and I ended up just sending it to two or three, and people of punk rock came back and were stoked on it, and so yeah, it's been honestly like we're, as you can tell, couldn't be more proud to be on People of Punk Rock Records, and Anthony and Juan, the guys that own and run the label, like they're sweetheart princes, and they're doing a lot to keep skate punk and melodic hardcore alive and keep it rolling. And I think, even for people listening who might not be fans of every single band on People of Punk Rock, like give those guys their credit because they are doing a lot to keep that genre of punk rock alive. Epitaph doesn't sign skate punk bands anymore. Fat Records, up until Cigar very recently, when's the last time they signed an actual skate punk band? Now, I'm not talking the legacy bands like Lagwagon, and the Good Riddances and the Strung Outs. I'm talking like contemporary, newer skate punk bands. They don't. But People of Punk Rock, they are supporting that, and that's one of the reasons why we reached out to them.
And I also saw on your guys' Bandcamp that you actually have a pre-order exclusive going on for the individuals that actually for the individuals that snag the album via Bandcamp. You guys actually have a pre-order Bandcamp exclusive. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this particular exclusive that you got going on with the Bandcamp, and of course, what do you actually receive alongside it?
With the Bandcamp exclusive, I think the exclusive aspect of it was just simply that a song that is not technically a single. It's called Road Less Traveled. You could stream it, listen to it, purchase it on Bandcamp. I don't even think you have to pre-order it, but maybe you do have to pre-order the album to listen to it. I'm not sure on that. I apologize. But um, through Bandcamp, you do get to hear a song that you're not going to find currently on Spotify or Apple Music or anywhere else. It's only on Bandcamp. That's the exclusive aspect of it. But as far as pre-orders, there's different packages that people can do as far as vinyl, CDs. There will be some also merch offerings to go along with that very, very soon. But that's what I can tell you about the Bandcamp thing.
And also, aside from this amazing album that's coming out March 24th, I have to ask, well, do you guys actually have any up and coming shows? That way, our viewers and listeners of the radio station can come on out and actually watch Bridge the Gap live in full effect in concert.
Yes, if you follow us on social media, just search us on Facebook or um, Twitter, Instagram. We haven't started publicizing it yet. We will be soon, but we have our record release show. It's going to end up being April 14th, and it's going to be in Salt Lake City. We all live in different areas, kind of up and down the Rockies. Some of us live in Utah, some of us live in Colorado. But we're going to do our record release show in Salt Lake City. And so that's going to be on April 14th, which is a Friday night. It's going to be dope. We haven't published the flyer yet, but it's coming in the next couple of days, actually. So as long as you stay connected with us on social media, you won't miss that. And then we have plans too. I mean, we have things that it's a little premature. It sounds kind of weird that we don't maybe have this ironed out now, but we do have some plans in the works for some live stuff this summer that we hope to unveil very soon as well.
And also, because of course I know how to find you guys on social media, but for the individuals that are just discovering this interview, whether it's like live or of course on demand as well, where can we actually find Bridge the Gap and of course the individual members on social media? That way we can follow you and the band and stay updated on everything you guys currently got going on.
For sure. So you can follow the band on Instagram. It's just at Bridge the Gap Band. And on Facebook, I think it's Bridge the Gap Punk, I think, because band was taken or something. I don't know. I think it's Bridge the Gap Punk. And then Twitter, I think it's _bridge _ gap, etc. I don't remember any of the other dudes' social media, like Twitter handles, Instagram. Maybe Chef Sean, our bass player, Sean, who is he's an elite award-winning chef. He's got kind of his own little social media empire that he does. but you can find him on Twitter. I'm not sure what his handle is off the top of my head. You can also find me on Twitter at Chad, N is in Nancy, Jensen, at Chad and Jensen. So those are our main social media platforms. And then also our drummer, Ryan, has a huge, he's kind of an outdoorsy dude, likes to hunt and fish and like photograph wildlife and stuff. And he has a huge Instagram account called Wild Places and Wild Things. So check that out.
And also, Chad, before we wrap things up, man, is there anything we happen to miss during this evening's interview? Anything else you do still want to talk about or promote? Well, we still got you here live on 99.9 Punk World Radio FM this evening.
You know, I think we've hit most of the buckets, so to speak. So album coming out the 24th, can't wait. Secret Combinations on People of Punk Rock Records, and produced, mixed, mastered at the Blasting Room, Bill Stevenson. So we're excited. We can't wait. We thank everybody who has gotten into Bridge the Gap and been streaming us and following us on Facebook and Instagram in particular. Love you guys. Can't wait to share more of this music. And now that we're in March, it's going to be here before you know it. So stay tuned. And thank you for having me, dude. We're so grateful. Thank you for having us on the show, DJ Immortal.
Hey, you are most certainly welcome, Chad. And thank you so much for just giving us a bit of your time here this evening and sliding into the 99.9 FM studios, man. It was such an honor to speak with you guys, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting my hands on a copy of this CD when it does drop to the general public, man, because I've heard what you guys have done so far with the songs that are released, and I got to say they're absolutely killer, man. So I can only imagine what the rest of the album is going to sound like.
Thank you, man. That's so kind of you to say. We really appreciate it. And again, it's a privilege and an honor to be on the show. So thank you very much.
Hey, you're most certainly welcome, Chad. Definitely have yourself a phenomenal night. I'm pretty sure down the line, we definitely shall talk again soon. But for now, definitely have yourself a phenomenal night.
All right, you too. We'll look forward to it.